What's up, everybody? Um, Tennessee stomped and chomped Florida today. 64, 44. Florida in the 40s. Great to see it. I got bricks on my background because that's all Florida could shoot tonight. So it's going to be a short one today. I think it's just me. Other guys are unavailable for today, but it was a close game entering half, and then we just dominated them. We always say key to the game, less than 30 and a half, keep them under 60. We kept them under 50. We kept them under 45. Really great performance defensively today. I want to shout out Jordan Gainey for figuring out how to shoot again. Great performance. 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. No Ziegler, no problem, right? So Chaz stepped up today, 19 points, 5 rebounds, a steal. Meshack all over the place today. 8 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Akpara, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks. Good performance. And yeah, in a game where we didn't see Ziegler and we didn't see. Hey, Josh.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, just going through and displaying my bricks because that's all Florida could shoot today.
Give me 1 second, man. 1 second. I got you. My sound was a little wonky there for a second. But yeah, man, what a performance. I saw you at the beginning here reading off the stats. Jordan Gainey obviously coming back from the dead, finding his shot. And Chaz Lanier, same. Big contributions with probably, and I would say arguably our team leader down with injury today.
And no Milicic, right? So very, very good to see that we can still pull off a big game without those two. And the other pieces kind of stepped up right in our place. We kind of went with an interesting starting lineup. 4 guards out there and just Akpara.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool to see. Like, we don't see that much variance in the starting lineup, and this is good to see that we at least got something going on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to listen to this one, and emphasis on listen. Was that I listened to the second half. First half, I was out at lunch to celebrate my dad's birthday, but pretty crazy. I was like, man, should I just listen to these games from now on? If it's going to guarantee me 20 victories versus top
team,
5 opponents.
and a team that just beat us by about the same, right? Almost.
Yeah, they beat us by 30.
30, right? I was about to say they almost beat us by 30. It was like 28 or something like that. But it was we're splitting hairs there. But it was definitely a good bounce back. Especially, I'll be honest with you, I thought Kentucky kind of took our soul a little bit. We left a lot during the Auburn game down in Alabama, and it showed up Tuesday night. But all the things that we did wrong over the last 2 games, especially with defending and not getting points in the paint, I think we kind of flipped the script on that. And, it couldn't have came at a better time when you're down 2 scholarship players. So, I mean, we only had, I think, 7 guys on scholarship available for today's game, and you're able to go out, like you said, and put those kind of numbers up against the top 5 team in the country.
Yeah. Pretty encouraging stuff. Interesting that they put this at the 12 o'clock spot. I guess because they're trying to highlight Coach Cal going home as.
Yeah, that's what they preferred. They preferred Arkansas and Kentucky game. So to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense because we all know how that's going to turn out. I think Kentucky's going to blow Arkansas out of the water.
Yeah.
And Rupp is going to be foaming at the mouth for Cal to come in there tonight. So
Yeah, I'm
not going to
just
go
kind of
well for them.
yeah, I'm just kind of looking at the schedule today, right? It's a little bit tough because they're trying to showcase like a big game from every league with the start time. Like they got Duke, Kentucky at 6:30. Or sorry, Duke, North Carolina at 6:30. Connecticut, UConn, Marquette at 8, and Texas Tech, Houston at 6. Kansas, Baylor at 4. And a variety of other teams going on now. Auburn at Ole Miss right now, 21-16. But I mean, the story of today is really our defense. A lot of steals. That was all the the play-by-play and radio announcers were talking about how active the Tennessee defense was. One player in double digits for them, which was Clayton.
And he didn't even finish the game. I don't think he went out with an injury there at the midpoint of the second half.
Yeah, and what was good to see is,
and he got hurt with Tennessee playing really good defense on him there in the corner. So
yeah, we
don't like seeing a kid get hurt, but
you know what? Whatever it takes.
That defense was crazy, man.
The defense was crazy. He was just a victim of the intense defense. It wasn't like a dirty play or anything.
No.
So I don't really feel bad in that sense. But their centers and forwards could not really compete with us today. And that's great to see. Because I feel like that's our weak point going into our roster creation. Usually, like, who's our big man? But who was their big man today? Nobody.
Which is crazy to think about how, just 3 weeks ago, if that, we couldn't do anything. We couldn't handle their bigs. We were getting big Boyd. Kind of just flipped the script today. And, not for nothing, man, this game had huge implications for how Tennessee's season was going to go. If Tennessee would have dropped this game, we're talking about the potential of this thing spiraling completely out of control. You're really sitting there looking at, like, are we even still going to make a 2 seed at this point? I think we had talked about, after the Kentucky game, just how downtrodden our fan base had kind of become based on the last few performances. Yeah. and where we thought we were headed, for a pretty bad seed in the tournament. I think we were talking about a play-in game potentially. We were pretty negative collectively on the show. I tried to pump the positivity. Mind you, I was the only one to and here's my victory lap. So humor me for a minute. I was the only one that gave Tennessee a chance. You and Andy were burying the team. You were ready to get rid of Deacon Barnes. But maybe that's what it was. You had to fire him up. We had Joe, the Florida fan. I haven't seen him poke his nose into the chat yet. He might be on Facebook. I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out.
A lot of that Florida and Kentucky and Auburn people quiet.
Yeah, a lot of quiet folks. I tagged him. I tagged Josh Joseph in the chat. He's radio silent. Here's just a couple things that were sent to me when we lost to Florida, and I'm not saying anything close to this. Let's see. Is there a worse performance in SEC history? This is talking about the last game. They were talking about Tennessee's got to be the worst number 1 ranked team of all time. Just pouring it on. Only UT would hire an 80-year-old and think it's a good idea. So taking shots at Deacon Barnes, what happened today, guys? That's all I got to ask. What happened today? All those comments that you laid out there. Looks like our 80-year-old coach put it on your alleged criminal coach. So you tracking that he's got some misconduct issues down there in Florida?
Oh no, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Get you a good Google on that stuff, man. He's a real class act, let me tell you. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the league overall, I'd take Rick Barnes almost over anybody, to include Bruce Pearl. I mean, Bruce Pearl can't even keep his players from beating each other up on an airplane. So, you know, it is one of those things. Karma comes back, and this is kind of where Tennessee's riding their victory lap right now, man. And I couldn't be prouder. I'll be honest with you. When I saw that news break right before, I guess the 11 o'clock hour this morning that Zakai wasn't going to play, I'll be honest, I didn't give us much of a chance. Negativity, the battered ball syndrome was setting in really thick and really hard, and I didn't give us much of a chance based on the results of the last game. I turned it on there, start watching it from my phone. I'm at my son's 7 or 8 and under basketball game. It wasn't going good for his team, and so I was kind of giving a little peek here and there. When he was alternating his turns in and out of the game, and we kept keeping it close. And then we get home like right before halftime, and then boom, it was one of those things where you felt like, okay, we got some momentum, and then the second half happened, and the rest is history.
Yeah, big Mo on our side. I would say the thing that I was most impressed with was it seemed pretty fluid, right? For Ziegler being out and for Milicic being out, offense seemed pretty good. No slack in our MAC on defense at all.
None whatsoever.
And this might be a lineup that Rick can toy with going into different teams this season. I liked what I saw from these guys. Again, the starting lineup was Akpara, Gainey, Meshack, Dubar, Lanier. Very active lineup. Very, maybe not the most stellar offensive lineup, but man, on defense,
out. Yeah.
Florida, get out. Get out.
I got to tell you, man, not for nothing. There was some meaningful experience, I think, that Bishop Boswell probably got out of today's game. Obviously, he wasn't a starter, but he did get some meaningful minutes today. And we continue to find ourselves in these situations, especially at point guard. And when I was texting some other buddies before the game, it's like you look at Bishop Boswell being thrown to the wolves because Zakai's got that injury. But it's like, we had some depth problems there because BJ Edwards is not around. Cameron Carr took off. Freddie DeLeon gone. So
forgot about him.
Yeah. So it would have been nice to have Freddie or any of those guys available to have some depth. And a lot of Tennessee fans are wishing the same thing. But I was praising Rick Barnes just a moment ago, but his staff has really got to relook at this with the graduation of Zakai Ziegler coming up. We've got to do something better than what we've done over the last 2 years with our depth at guard.
Are we still on the scholarship restriction next year?
We don't have. What do you mean as far as scholarship restriction?
There was we could only have
eight
or nine guys on scholarship.
No, we don't have. There's no scholarship restriction for us. Okay. We just do a really bad job of having.
It's a self-restriction.
Yeah, it's a self-restriction. That's right.
Okay, got it. We need 10 guys for next year. That's what I'm going to ask Rick for and the rest of the coaches. We need 10 people that can play,
and not just people, dudes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, this is really a test to our bench, right? Dubar, bench player. Cade Phillips, pretty good performance. 3 big blocks.
He had a huge performance today. A lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet, man, with the defense, and just refused to be denied a lot of times in the paint, man. A lot of good momentum dunks, little lobs, or getting hit with the back door, cutting to the basket. Man, I mean, there was some plays that really injected some juice into the team.
Yeah. So I mean, really not much else I can say for criticism wise. This is about as the best result you can expect with two big players out. I will say that Florida just didn't show up at all. I'll go through the stats here again. 24% on field goals, 14% from three, -5 on rebounds, -4 on offensive rebounds, -10 on assists, -1 on steals, -2 on blocks, -5 on turnovers. And we crushed them in the paint, which is didn't really expect to do. 32-16 on the paint, 10-3 on second chance.
There you go. I mean, that was the big difference on the second chance points. And then, you look at the box score, man, like Tennessee put 40 up in the second half, and Florida scored 44 for the entire game.
Yeah. And one thing I always like to see is that, I use the score app and they give you this biggest lead stat.
Yeah.
Biggest lead was 21 and the final score was 20. That's always good, right?
Absolutely.
That means we are closing them out. Mariano Rivera, our insert closer here.
Yep.
It happened. Very good to see, honestly. Really, really strong performance. And I couldn't tell you who Florida's best player was, whereas last game it was a clear answer there. And really combination of people getting steals, people getting blocks, made for a very easy win, honestly. Second half on, it was smooth sailing, and things were looking good. Just going to check in with the rest of the SEC right now here. As far as scores, and we have the unique opportunity, since we're not closing it out, we can give some picks out.
That's right.
I want to do that as well. So right now, Missouri is up by 30 against Mississippi State.
And that's also who we play next week is Missouri.
Right. So I want to get into that a little bit after this. Auburn is up by 4 against Ole Miss. We got the Vandy Boys versus Oklahoma on the road. I think they can pull that out.
I do too. Vanderbilt getting some love. I think they're ranked this week, top 25. Yep. I think they came in like 24.
Yep. Oklahoma -2.5. I would take the plus there.
Yeah, for sure.
Georgia is at Alabama. Big football matchup, turning out to be a big basketball matchup. Alabama -12.5. A spread you'll never see in football, but
no,
nonetheless. Texas LSU, another great football matchup. -1.5. Texas at LSU. A&M -5.5 at South Carolina. I'm going to go upset alert here. Calling in our boy Chase Cox. I'm going to say
getting cocky in there today.
I think it's time to get cocky. You can't really get worse than South Carolina is doing on.
They're still 0 right? Play. They're still 0 in conference play, right?
I think they're 0-9.
Shout out to all my South Carolina fans out there, man. 0 right now in league play.
Yeah, so I'll go South Carolina +5.5, and then the final game of the SEC slate is Kentucky -9.5.
Bro,
against Arkansas.
I'm telling you, pile the mortgage on Kentucky, dude.
Yeah, maybe get that second mortgage out. Get that reverse mortgage going.
Cash out your escrow and put it on Kentucky. Everything you got.
Yeah, and I'll shout out one other game in the rest of the world here, and I'll say North Carolina is playing Duke at Cameron. Duke -13.5.
Dude, it's going to be a bloodbath.
I think I'm not going to go full upset alert, but I will say North Carolina is going to cover that 13.5.
Oh, snap. Uh-oh. I haven't heard that one in a long time.
Yeah. North Carolina, let me tell you, they're just about as bad as South Carolina is right now.
Yeah.
They have a very similar kind of schedule going on right here, but
Stay out.
yeah, I mean, recent memory, North Carolina has been staying in at close games with Duke. Again, this is one of those this is like an NFL divisional game here. You don't really want to be on the big favorite unless you know something, but just supporting North and South Carolina on this day today.
Naveen being a true Vol Hill today.
Yeah, I mean, you never forget where you came from. I was a North Carolina fan before I was a Tennessee fan, so
Calm
it's
down.
tough to let that go.
You probably should. You're just looking at the trajectory both programs are on for this year. So
yeah, I kind of see North Carolina basketball is a little bit like Alabama football in the sense when it was illegal to pay the players, that's when they were cooking. But now that it's legal, it's not as good of an advantage.
That's right.
So I'll say that there. Josh, before we leave, let's preview what's next for Tennessee hoops. Again, we're playing Missouri next. Your thoughts there?
Yeah, man. Tennessee, they owe Missouri, man. We didn't get to play them in football this year. And I think Tennessee's going to stand on business. Missouri's got to come to the Food City Center. And I think we're going to handle them. I'm telling you, with the asterisks there, last Tuesday being the outlier, Tennessee typically doesn't lose at home. I mean, you can see just the oppo that we pulled from, what we did down in Florida, versus the same team in the Tommy Bowl today. Obviously, a different result. And, I think maybe the team is starting to find themselves a little bit back on the defensive end, with two guys being down out of the rotation. A lot of guys got some good minutes today. We highlighted those fellas, at great length. But I'll say, give me Tennessee. I'm going to say at least minus 10.5. At home as home favorites to Missouri.
All right. I will say that I was also listening to a bit of this game when Tennessee was in timeout. Missouri, they can shoot the rock. So that's one thing we got to watch out for. A little bit similar to how Kentucky plays, Missouri plays. They've hit 15 threes today. They are shooting the ball 55%. So we got to make sure that we maintain our defensive intensity. We got to maintain the rebounding and keep the steal and block party going. Everybody loves a block party.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loves that kind of defensive performance. So if we expect to beat these guys, we got to make sure that they keep the bricks going. So remember, get bricky. It's cold outside. Stay bricky. So I will say that, not much negative you can say. Rick Barnes, probably one of the better coaching performances we've seen this season from Rick Barnes, given the limited players he had. The performance that his team got out of him were good. He's good. I was a Fire Rick Barnes guy last week, and earlier this week, I got to put the notebook away.
You got to put the notebook away. Yeah,
day.
I told you. You and Andy were ready to flush him Tuesday night, man. And, again, scholarships limited right now as far as people on scholarship, not so much the scholarships being limited. We just don't have, depth because people transferred out. So it's just one of those things. Cameron Carr, I hope that you enjoy it down in Baylor. Benedict Arnold, I get it. He's not a Vol anymore, so we kind of got to let it go. But yeah, in spite of all the things that this team and all the adversity that it's faced so far this year, what a great job to beat a top 5 team in the fashion in which you did. you played your style of basketball, you put, you basically put, I don't know, 6 or 7 dudes that could actually play and have been consistent players in your rotation. Get the freak out of here. Sorry, I got a kid that's trying to come on here, but consistently in your rotation, and they didn't blink. They didn't blink at all. They defended well. They shot the ball really well. And if you, like I said, if you had asked me if we had any shot without Zakai Ziegler at the beginning of the game, it would have been absolutely not, just based on how we've been playing. So hats off to them. Hats off to Coach Barnes. And, I've been uber critical of Coach Barnes in the past, but sometimes not everything it has like this like esoteric worldview to it when something bad happens. I think you could apply that to some of the things that have been happening, RIP to the victims and all these, plane and helicopter crashes here in the last couple of days. I don't think that everything, not to compare these two things, obviously one's more serious, it's life and death, but just on a granular level, like you don't have to blame everybody, like from a general view of it. Like, oh, well, this person's responsible for this. Sometimes it's just human error, and sometimes people mess up, right? Kind of the same thing. You don't have to always apply that every loss is the coach's fault. Now, a good coach will protect his players and say it's his fault, but sometimes it's just, as we saw, we missed 34 threes. How is that Rick Barnes' fault? He's not out there shooting those threes. You know what I'm saying? I would argue Slick Rick would probably at least, hit a couple.
Who wouldn't go 15%?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Then. So it's like you can try, and I think our society does a really bad job of that, to try to pin the blame on someone when something goes wrong, whether it's a tragedy or, just a terrible loss in sports or something. Just any anecdotal thing that you can come up with where you're just looking for the why, and it's not just completely obvious. Sometimes it's just, we're imperfect people and we mess up. So the same could be said for today's performance on, for Tennessee. Like you had people step up. I would say this is probably an anomaly that we beat Florida in the way that we did. I don't think you can get too high or too low between, what's happened over the last few games because you see there's that balance in between the two performances that we've seen just this week.
Yeah. So I'll close it out with some lyrics from one of my favorite country.
Here we go.
Country players.
Getting deep in here tonight, boys.
Rest in peace, Toby Keith. How do you like me now, Florida fans?
That's right.
Now that I'm on my way, do you still think I'm crazy standing here today? I couldn't make you love me, but we fucking mopped the floor with your ass. Chomped them. Everything. 0-9 now, 0-8 at TBA for the Florida boys. Next time come correct. So message out to Mizzou. Hopefully we get you back in the same way. We owe you something from the last time we played in Florida, and we'll be covering that game again, guys. Live every Tennessee basketball game for the rest of the season. Hopefully we have many more going into February, March, and a little bit of April. So for Josh, myself, go Vols. How do you like me now?
GBO, baby. Let's go.